As of writing this script, this is the first video that appears when you search up corecore on TikTok. A 57-second video stitching together different pieces of media trying to convey a certain outlook of the 21st century, one of the necessity of constant stimulation, materialism, and of almost pure nihilism. Corecore has become a trend that has recently taken over certain sides of TikTok. But what is corecore? At first, it seems to be this meaningless compilation of videos that aim to try and connect to a shared message. But it's the idea of corecore that has some more depth to it than you would probably think. Something prevalent of the 21st century, or more the age of the internet, is the idea of the aesthetic, or cores. This idea of cultural norms from previous times are just specific attributes of communities being exemplified in some form of aesthetic or core. And people from the current generation use those terms as some sort of preset to replicate that. We can take a look at the earliest days of these terms, stuff like cottagecore or visco girls, vaporwave even. They're all terms used to describe these shared ideas and genres of different things and bundle them into this one set category. And corecore is basically the antithesis of that idea. Its existence is in the fact that it can be anything. It can connect any type of media to funnel a central idea. And I think that is what makes these videos so interesting to watch. How people connect a clip from a movie that was released nearly 30 years ago to a completely unrelated interview of an actor to a random snippet of a house tour. But when watching it all together, if done well, it becomes this understanding of the feeling the creator was trying to convey. Corecore, for the sake of this video, niche talk, has become this self-examination and rebranding of what a core or an aesthetic can be. But as you can see by the runtime of this video, there's much more I have to say on this new wave expression of corecore. And by the end of it, I hope you see where I'm coming from when I say that. Corecore has become the poster boy of Gen Z's obsession with self-pity, and has shown why as a generation it struggles so much with creating genuine art. With corecore becoming this widespread, it's inevitable that the initial intent or purpose of it will become misaligned, so to speak. But what bothers me with this huge influx of these videos is that it isn't becoming misaligned, it's becoming completely diluted. It's the fact that they aren't even saying anything, or they aren't even attempting to try and use this very interesting form of expression to its original or full purpose. There was a great TikTok from Matt Lawrence where he goes over the misuse of corecore and how its original purpose was being wasted away in favor of the just empty, nihilistic-centric compilation videos. And I want to take that talking point further and elaborate on why TikTok especially has just become this landfill of overly self-pitiful forms of content, which I mean is fine to a certain extent. It's more or less lazy forms of overly self-pitiful content which negatively affects the potential of something like corecore presents itself with. When the original videos of corecore and niche talk were being created, the point of interlinking different forms of media together was to push a message, either be an anti-capitalist statement or more geared towards environmentalism. Regardless, there was a shared connection in each piece of media that was glued together in this one video. It was almost as if someone couldn't write or say the words they wanted, but instead presented an image that immediately got the point across. And that is a beautiful art form that fits the current generation so perfectly. This bite-sized expression of ideas and issues that get across effortlessly because you are stitching together other pieces of media that do it for you, but mending them to create an intimate feeling. Or people trying to express a human condition or certain abstract emotions with corecore. Once again, mending different forms of media that share the same feeling they're describing to create this bundled package that gets across 1 million words in seconds. But I feel that ever since it became an even minimally popular thing on TikTok, people have oversaturated and diminished the original intent of it. When I stumble across corecore videos now, it's more or less the same 5 or 6 different clips with the same Aphex Twin song making this half-assed attempt of describing a feeling, which is more or less she left and took the kids. It's just as bad as the ungodly amount of sad slideshow type of content that is prevalent on that. And I get the talking point of corecore just being this way of just connecting seemingly nothing into a single point or feeling, and I agree to that. I've seen plenty of videos seemingly connect nothing into something, and it's a genuinely impressive thing to do. What I don't understand is just the constant enablement of self-pity TikTok indulges itself with. I mean, I get it, the world isn't all sunshine and rainbows, but this constant enablement of self-pity and this American Psycho-esque Blade Runner whatever thing that is constantly taking the forefront of this app and of this trend is so wasteful. It just completely oversaturated the idea of corecore and its potential to be this form of expression entirely unique to Gen Z. And before I go on criticizing aspects of Gen Z, the generation that I am proudly a part of, I just want to make it clear that I believe a good amount of it is because it's popular, to be honest. Social media has made a contest of who can hop on trends and get the most interactions on a post by repeating the same things 10 other people have repeated from another person. This absolute rat rat race of internet attention is something that is just a negative byproduct of the internet, which then comes a huge amount of content on a platform like TikTok that is solely geared towards self-pity and people just moping and being sad, quite honestly. And it's not like there isn't anything wrong to express your sadness in a TikTok or any form of media. It's the issue when everything is centered around that, and when the creators of these videos are just doing it because it's the trend. And I mean, if that's how you get your bag, then I can't really complain. I have an issue with it when it just taints something that shows so much promise of something like corecore. It makes corecore into just another aesthetic or core that we were talking about earlier. It loses its original identity of being able to express any idea or feeling into now just people essentially making the video version of a sad slideshow. It gives itself parameters to follow and is the main issue with the influx of this lazy form of content. It's a big reason why I said earlier that this generation struggles with making meaningful art, it seems. As chronically online as I may sound, I believe corecore with its initial intent is an art form when done effectively. And Gen Z doesn't really have anything unique to itself. It's like when I was talking about the idea of aesthetics. Gen Z as a whole constantly takes from older ideas and tries to modernize them in a way that's socially acceptable just to get over them and do with the next thing within a few months. It's a constant fad culture that makes nothing really mean anything, honestly. The lack of attention span and constant oversaturation of things that get popular and get turned into these aesthetics, it's the reason why things that are new become no different than what was popular a few weeks prior. There's no time to let things sit anymore. It's always been a focus on what's next. And as much as I love the internet probably is the reason why this happens. There's so much to consume in so little time, so I don't blame Gen Z for constantly moving and blending everything together into this gray muck of artistic nothingness. To try and wrap this up in the best way possible, because I really didn't feel the need to make this video super in-depth to get my point across, let me leave you with this. Corecore has really infatuated me by being this weird trend that was appearing on my For You page pretty often, and more or less my concern with it is that something so unique and different that is exclusive to the internet babies of our day and age is being wasted due to the very same generation having the habit of just running things to the ground for the sake of internet points, and it's kind of saddening in its own way. And I would hope that in the future, even with corecore itself, we try and stick to not just the trend hopping, actually learning what it is to make something as simple as corecore, and not just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And with that said, we should try our best to pick from the filth as consumers and try to uplift the best attempts of corecore or whatever it is that is currently shoved in our face. I think showing our appreciation more would help stuff like this seem more important and not just an endless revolving door of internet fads appearing every 2 weeks. But at the very least, pink core is still beautifully preserved. If anyone starts to ruin with that, I think as a society we are finished.